I'm going to give you a macro look at creating a successful sales campaign. The reason this is so important is I often have strategy calls with business owners, both in the financial service space and outside of the financial service space. And the key that I see, the missing link, is not having sales campaigns. I see a lot of people stressing about sales, but if you don't have an active sales campaign, and an active sales campaign, friends, it's not sending out a mass email to your entire book of business. That is not an active sales campaign. But some people have sales campaigns, but they're just weak. They're just reach out maybe one time. And so today I'm going to walk you through the macro of the steps that I take when I sit down with a customer and I build a sales campaign for them for the purpose of rainmaking. The first thing when you are building a successful sales campaign, so when I sit down with a customer, the first thing I want to know is who are we going to call? And so this is where segmenting, if you have a book of business, it would be one of your segments. You might say, okay, I'm going to run a sales campaign for these 2 segments or this 1 segment or these 5 segments. But essentially you have a list. You have a list of people to call. If you do not have a book of business, this is where I highly recommend looking at other ways to get a list. Maybe you pay for a list. I'm not big on the cold paying for lists, but I do know that LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a great way to come up with a lead list. My personal favorite, and I will be diving really deep into this because this has been really a game changer in my business, especially for my friends who sell B2B. I know that my focus really is B2C, but if you're looking to get more business clients or you serve business clients, maybe you help them personally, you have a personal service, but you want more business customers, then I highly recommend Seamless AI. It is an AI software program that is real time. This is something that always blows my customers away because you can put in the exact industry. So in my situation, I like to target banking, investment clients. And so I put in my industry, I put in the location, I put in the revenue that I want. So not everybody can afford to work with me. So I know my sweet spot is between the 5 and 20 million in revenue. And so I put that into the search, and then it pulled up every single person. You can also put in a title. So I usually deal with director of marketing or the president or the CEO or the director of sales. So it just depends for every organization. So you put in those titles and it pops up, and then you can have the email address, the phone number. Oftentimes they even provide a cell phone number. And then you are able to create your own lead list, your own list that you can now work. And guess what? This is part of growing your book of business. You have to start creating, you have to start somewhere. So I don't care if you have 5 people, that is a start. That is your sweet little book of business. But I promise you, if you really think about it, you probably have way more than 5. So the first thing, the most important thing is get a lead list. Do not spend endless hours looking for one client here and one client there. You really want to have a lead list. So when you have that dedicated time for business development, you're getting through that list. All right. So once I know who it is that we're reaching out to, the next is really about strategy. So this is the what as well as the when. So when it comes to strategy, and I've shared this with you friends, I always begin with the pain. Okay, so here are the people we're targeting. What is the pain that we are solving for? What is their pain? And once I identify their pain, now it's time to understand the modality of which I will reach out to them. So there's so many different modalities. When I started out in the financial service space, we pretty much just had the phone. We would just leave a voicemail. But today there's email, there's direct messaging on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, there's text messages, there's video messages. And so it's really about figuring out the different modalities that you're going to use within your sales campaign. I always like to come up with 5 touch points. That's my personal, I work with 5 quite a bit. And so between those 5, I usually have 2 emails that go out, and then a video that goes out, and then a phone call. And then I always have at the end a breakup email if they haven't given me the time of day. And it's not really breaking up, it's just letting them know, hey, I'm going to call you in 6 months and we're going to try this again, because clearly business growth right now is not a priority for you. So that is really important to think about. So think about how best to reach out to your prospects. And one way to figure this out is to ask them, like when you're talking to prospects, when you're talking to your customers, what is the best way to communicate with you? I know for myself, I work really well on text messaging. I do not open emails very often. I do on my work email. Sometimes people get my personal email and things get lost or they go in spam. So really, it's really important to just simply ask, how do you best like to communicate? Would you like me to call? Would you like me to text you? Would you like an email? And have them tell you. And so then once you know the modality, now the strategy for the frequency. How often are you going to reach out to them? I like to reach out once a week for 5 weeks straight. And then like I said, I give it a break, maybe give it 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then I start reaching out again. One of the biggest problems I see with sales professionals and business owners is oftentimes when they have a sales campaign, they'll just reach out once in a mass email. Friends, that is not an active sales campaign. That's not efficient. That is you just having a email management system. Sometimes I have customers who say they use Constant Contact for a CRM, but that is not a CRM. Constant Contact is wonderful to stay connected to your email list, but that is not a efficient way to really stay connected to your customers and work a sales campaign, which brings me to my next point. And this is so important. You will hear me preaching about this all the time. And the reason why I preach this is because in my day, we didn't have a CRM. We didn't have a client relationship management system. And so I would create my own, like out of the pieces that my company would give me. But today, you don't have to work that way. Most organizations have a CRM that they provide. And if you are a small business owner and you have yet to invest in a CRM, they're not even that expensive, friends. You can get a free CRM on HubSpot. My personal favorite, and the one that I'll be giving you a tutorial on when we dive into CRMs, is Pipedrive. And I'll be going in there and showing you the 5 things that every CRM must have in order to be super successful. But the CRM really allows you to figure out the how. Like, how are you going to house all of these leads? How are you going to execute the campaign? The nice thing within a CRM is, let's say that you decide you're going to be sending out 3 different emails and you have a template in mind. You can create that template and streamline your efforts. Now, for myself, I don't send out mass emails, even when I have a really good template. I find with the kind of clients I'm looking for, so my clients, I'm looking for enterprise clients. And so it's worth it for me to personally reach out. And even though I have a template that I work with that really expedites the time that it takes to send an email, I still like to personalize it just a little bit. I like to go and do a little bit of research, maybe on the company, maybe on what their brand promise is, and incorporate that. Or maybe the individual specifically, maybe they just started with the company, but something to let them know that this is not a mass email. And so the nice thing about CRMs is more than often, they should absolutely allow you to save those templates. And so when you start creating a sales campaign and following all these steps, have your lead list ready, understand the strategy, and within the strategy, understanding the problem that you solve, the modality for which you will connect with them, the frequency of how often are you going to connect with them. And then you have a CRM when you can execute this. That is when things really will start changing for you. The reason why you struggle with sales is because there's not enough momentum, there's not enough energy, there's not enough passion. And so these steps will really allow you to go much deeper with your business development, to get much greater results with your sales efforts. And the last one, of course, is why do you want to do this? Because friends, whatever it is that you are selling right now in this season of your life, This is your gift to share with your customers. Your knowledge, your expertise is a gift. It is your light. And when you are shining your light, not only do you give permission for others to shine their light, but that is how we connect with other people. It is when we are sharing our gift. Oftentimes I'll hear sales professionals, they get so nervous before they start calling or reaching out, like they think like they're bugging them. Girlfriend, you are not bugging them. You are saving them. Whatever it is that if you're selling investments, you're going to allow them to sleep well at night and not worry about a market crash. If you're selling life insurance, you're giving them the peace of mind that they never have to worry in case worst case scenario. What a gift that is. If you run a yoga studio, you are offering health and vitality. How can you put a price tag on that, friends? It's so important to remember your why. This is your gift. When I finally realized that my knowledge was a gift and I could simply show up and educate, everything changed for me. I didn't have to close anymore. I didn't have to always be closing. I simply educated my client and I took their order. And that is what being a rainmaker is all about.